Hello and welcome to Stuart Ergin, Book Hunter. Now, we made ourselves a walk all the way just outside of the capital, where I'm gonna look through the city, enjoy the view, and maybe look around, get some rumours, do some quests I've got down for myself, and maybe even explore some dungeons and read some books. So, without further ado, let's make our way to the capital.
Psst. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Come here. I got what you need.
No, you don't. You're creepy, and I hate creepy. Where's the door? There's the door. For a second I was worried they locked me in here.
How are you?
Not bad. How are you?
You know, stranger, there comes a time in every man's life when he has to admit that he's lost the fight. Well, I've fought and I've lost. Who did I lose to? Who is my great enemy? Oh, don't laugh. It's a bunch of damn fish.
I'm not sure if I can help, but
Go on and
maybe.
Wait. Help? Oh, well then. I'm a fisherman. Or at least I was. Until one of those slaughterfish damn near took my leg off. I was collecting their scales, see? I had a contract with this young alchemist. You wouldn't believe what he was paying for those scales. Then, last month, one of the bastards got a hold of my leg. Took me right out of the business. But this alchemist, he needs the scales right away. Fine then, I'll find someone else. Someone who isn't too busy to help a desperate old man.
I'm sorry, I'm a tourist, and I know enough about slaughterfish to know that they can take a grown man's leg off in an instant. I'm surprised you still got both of yours. I might fight monsters, wolves, and bandits, but I'm smart enough not to go after slaughterfish. It's in the name for a reason. A glorious capital I've always heard tale about. It's gonna look beautiful. I wonder if the shops will pay full price for me shit.
What is it, citizen? Yes?
How do you do? Have you heard any rumors?
Emperors have been assassinated before, but this time, I don't know. It's different. Can't you feel it? A shadow is falling across all of Tamriel. Farewell, citizen.
Farewell. I don't really believe in that shit. King be damned.
What is it, citizen?
Imperial.
State your business, citizen.
I'm new in town.
What are you
How about
looking
some
for?
Directions. Where are the services?
You'll find smiths, alchemists, booksellers, maid shops, clothiers, armorers, and general traders in the market district.
Okay.
What are you looking for?
Well, I might be here long enough to the point where I might need to sleep.
Merchants Inn in the market, King and Queen in Elven Gardens, the Tiber Septim in Talos Plaza, and All Saints in Temple District. There's also the bloated float on the waterfront, but That's not a very nice neighborhood.
Very good. Any rumors?
The Emperor is dead, and so are his heirs. We're a legion without a leader. The Blades were trusted with our Lord's protection, and they failed.
If you don't mind, a lot of you is talking about
Move
that fop. No offense to the old Lord of Tamriel himself, but if he was dumb enough to get himself killed...
Well then, hi there. The news from Anne is terrible. Have you heard about the attack on the chapel? No, I
The foaming flask, eh?
Greetings and salutations.
I'll come back to you.
The whole chapel desecrated.
Greetings and salutations. Who's screaming?
Who will help an old beggar? I'm saving up enough for some medicine.
Have a coin.
Thank you, kind sir.
Hey, there's no need to mock me. I know my accent's weird, but come on.
Blessings of Standar upon ye.
Quit mocking me.
Good to see you.
Nice to meet you. I get the feeling I did not follow the right directions to find the shop. This does not look like the shopping district.
You have my ear, citizen.
Well, this place looks rather nice, but it's not the shop. I pay homage to the old ones that have passed before us.
Tidings, citizen.
Okay, you. I've been better. That's too bad. Speak.
Okay, I can already tell this isn't the shopping district. My quest for the shopping district has so far been killed. Maybe if we go in the opposite direction. Blessings to all of you here, lying in the ground. Hopefully this door will be the market district. First edition. Copious coin purse. I do believe we're in the market
I've
district.
heard that the great houses of Morrowind are in upheaval.
Let's see what's in the copious coin purse.
What kind of deal can I make for you today?
Well, let's see what you're willing to buy.
Have a look around. You won't find better prices in all Tamriel. You drive a hard bargain. A good price for a good customer. You've made a good bit of gold.
Well, we've already read these, so no point lugging them back across the border with me.
You got a great...
Nearly as much as I'd get in Skyrim, but
You got a great deal there.
I'm not in Skyrim. I'll keep the torch.
Thank you for your patronage.
Thank you for your business.
Goodbye. Please, come again.
Now, normally I'd hit up the bookstore, but I've got enough books to read already.
Greetings.
Great. I understand old Dovin Aaron can still teach a bit about alteration.
He's getting older, but he can still teach a bit about alteration. He's been teaching it since before.
Mayhap we'll get some better armor.
Welcome to A Fighting Chance. I'm Rosan, proprietor. I sell the best swords in the city, and I offer advanced training for armorers.
Well, what I happen to need right now is better armor.
Have a look at my wares. I'm sure there's something to suit you.
I like the idea of a steel helmet, as I'm currently not wearing a proper helmet. But I like my hood. Sorry, my lady, but I need armor, not
Good day.
weapons. Good day, Rosan. Don't need jewelry. Don't need food.
It's probably the finest inn in all of Cyrodiil. See you. Good day.
Good as new, huh? Something tells me it's not as good and as new as you say it is.
The Altmer have powerful wizards. It could be a dangerous situation.
Don't need any couriers. Where's the goddamn armorers?
Greetings.
What's new with you?
Greetings.
Three syndicates of wizards.
Staffs. suppose.
Have you ever done any shopping at Thorinir's store?
I imagine that's clothing. More magic. Weapons.
Heavy armor. I'd probably ask Bernard to put the best defense.
There we get best defense. Two of you. What's... You look like the one I'm looking for.
The best defense. That's me, Morrow Rufus. Light armor. The very best.
Nice to meet you, Rufus. Let's see what you got.
Armor, weapons, I have it all. How may I help you? I wouldn't make that deal with just anybody.
I'm not going to argue with that logic.
I appreciate your business.
Be seeing you.
Hold up. I'm already wearing leather. Aren't I? Rough leather. It's got a regular leather. And proper leather boots. Wait, he didn't have leather greaves, did he?
What can I do for you?
Morrow,
What can I interest you in?
do you have leather greaves? No, you don't. Bugger it all.
Armor, weapons, I have it all. How may I help you? That's
At least there's coin to be made
a
back.
pleasure to serve you.
Thanks.
I can fix whatever you break. Bye.
I think I'll try and fix what I break, thank you.
I'm Bernardo. I handle the heavy armor at the best defense. I'm also an advanced trainer in heavy armor, so I know what I'm talking about.
Do you happen to have anything better than what I'm wearing for greaves?
Let's do business.
As much as I dislike heavy armor, I need better defense.
Another satisfied customer. Stop talking.
I wasn't talking that much, you bloody blackguard. Go to hell. I won't be coming to you again. That's for damn sure. You lost yourself business.
Who will help an old beggar? Well met. Isn't Irene Metric graceful?
How can I help
She's
you?
impressive and she'll train others. So I've heard. Safe travels. Take care.
Heard of a beggar in need?
I'm so hungry.
Have a coin.
Thank you, kind sir.
Now, I've heard a decent amount about this grey fox round here. What can you tell me, milady?
He's a fairy tale. The Imperial Watch pretends there is a thief king named the Grey Fox who controls all the thieves in Cyrodiil. Of course, it's all just made up to give them an excuse to keep us down.
Really? Tell me more.
He's a fairy tale. Of course,
Okay. Rumours?
I can't make up my mind about the prophet in Anvil. Is he truly a holy man, or just a lunatic exploiting the tragedy at the Chapel of Debella?
Really?
blessings of Akatosh upon ye.
Lessons of Akatosh.
What's new with you?
I heard there were some goblins around here recently. Awful creatures.
Disgusting creatures. I hope never to see another.
Good day. What is it, citizen?
Goblins, huh? Let's go see if we can find goblins then. Alright, slow and steady. Just in case. Rocks like these, there bound to be caves in them. Blasted creature. Hello. Any chance you've heard of goblins? Okay, you're bandits. Okay, that was on you, not me. That said, I'll take that axe. Maybe they're hiding the goblins. You never know.
I ran across a couple of mud crabs not long ago. Annoying creatures.
Well, at least they're slow and not too bright. Their pincers are sharp, though.
Good day.
Take care.
Sounds like someone's making small talk. Wait. Ah! Bloody trap! Should have listened to the family member. Always check for traps. Good thing I called them down as bandits. Like I said, don't need food. I can find it.
Must have been the wind.
This is definitely not the wind. This is definitely not the wind. First try. I'm gonna look to take a potion or two. Doesn't sound like anyone else is here. Let's go deeper. Appears to be just rats in this corridor. Not that I'm overly complaining. Is that really the only tunnel in here?
Whatever it was, it's gone now.
There's gotta be another way to that voice.
This is an honor.
What's new here?
I hear the legions have been recalled from Fort Swampland in Black Marsh, and many of the Argonian slaves have returned to their tribes.
Alright, so go back out to the main area. Maybe make my way up. These bandits, if I can rid the world of even a few during my
Nothing to worry
time
about.
here.
Just my eyes playing tricks on me.
fool. Poor fool. On. Why don't I use magic on that thing? God damn it. I don't quite trust this area. Not at all.
Guess it was nothing.
Ooh. Shame to be you. Yep, that's where I was. Oh, now that fall would have been death. I really hate mud crabs. Ah, hell. Alright. It's night time now. get to sleep soon. So, why don't we get into the second volume of The Real Baron Zaya? Hopefully, it's not nearly as long. Want to take it away, Smabb?
Well, first I am going to actually check to see how many pages this book is that you bought. Whew! We got another long read. So, I'm gonna need some water. And before you...
I'm aware, it's water, not water.
Thank you.
Seriously, maybe you should add a bit of alcohol.
Why?
Your boring personality.
Hey!
It's the truth, you little drab.
You know what? I don't have to listen to this. I'll read your book instead.
Oh, come on, I was just... No. You've said your piece. Now I'm gonna read my piece.
The Real Baron Zaya, Part 2, written by Anonymous. Time for this beast of a book. Baron Zaya and Straw settled into Riften for the winter, taking a cheap room in the slummier section of town. Baron Zaya wanted to join the Thieves Guild, knowing that there would be trouble if she were...
What's the matter? Sorry.
Something I ate. Apologies. Knowing there would be trouble if she were caught freelancing. One day, in a barroom, she caught the eye of a known member of the guild, a bold young Khajiit named Theris. She offered to bet him if he would sponsor her membership. He looked her over, grinned, and agreed, but said she'd still have to pass an initiation. What sort of initiation?
Ah, Theris said. Pay up first, sweetness.
This passage has been censored by order of the temple.
Oh, that's a good bit.
Quiet.
Fine.
Straw was going to kill her, and maybe Theris too. What in Tamriel had possessed her to do such a thing? She cast an apprehensive look around the room, but the other patrons had lost interest and gone back to their own business. She did not recognize any of them. This wasn't the inn where she and Straw were staying. With luck, it'd be a while or never before Straw found out. Theris was by far the most exciting and attractive man she had met yet. He was not only told her about the skills she needed to become a member of the Thieves Guild, but also trained her in them himself, or else introduced her to people who could. Among these was a woman who knew something about magic. Katisha was a plump and matronly Nord. She was married to a smith, had 2 teenage children, and was perfectly ordinary and respectable, except that she was very fond of cats, and by logical inference, their inhumanoid counterparts, the Khajiit. And thus had a talent for certain kinds of magic, and cultivated rather odd friends. She taught Baron Zaya an invisibility spell and schooled her in other forms of stealth and disguise. Katisha mingled magical and non-magical talents freely, using one set to enhance the other. She was not a member of the Thieves Guild, but was fond of Theris in a motherly sort of way. Baron Zaya warmed to her, as she never had towards any other woman. And over the next few weeks, she told Katisha all about herself. She bought straw to her too sometimes. Straw approved of Katisha, but not of Theris. Theris found Straw interesting, and suggested that to Baronzai that they arrange what he called a threesome. Absolutely not, Baronzai said firmly, grateful that Theris had broached the subject in private for once. He wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it. Theris smiled, his charming triangular feline smile, and sprawled lazily on his chair, stretching his limbs and curling tail. You might be surprised, both of you. You might be surprised, the both of you. Pairing is so boring. Baronzai answered him with a glare. Or maybe you wouldn't like it. Or maybe you wouldn't like it with that country bumpkin of you. Or maybe, words. Or maybe you wouldn't like it with that country bumpkin of yours, sweetness. Would you mind if I brought along another friend? Yes, I would. If you're bored with me and your friend can find someone else. She was a member of the Thieves Guild now. Oh. Ugh, why am I still using the voice? She was a member of the Thieves Guild now, and had passed her initiation. She found Theris useful, but not essential. She was a bit bored with him. Maybe she was a bit bored with him, too. She talked to Katisha about her problems with men, or what she thought of as her problems with men. Katisha shook her head and told her she was looking for love, not sex, and that she knew the right man. She'd know the right man when she found him, that neither Straw nor Theris were the right one for her. Baronzai cocked her head to one side quizzically. They say dark elven women are something. Prostitutes, she said, although she was dubious. You mean promiscuous, although some do become prostitutes, I suppose. Katisha said in an afterthought. Elves are promiscuous when they're young, but you'll grow out of it. Perhaps you're beginning to already, she added hopefully. She liked Baronzai, had grown to be quite fond of her. You ought to meet some nice elven boys, though. If you go on keeping company with Khajiits and humans, and what have you, you'll find yourself pregnant in next to no time. Baronzai smiled involuntarily at the thought. I'd like that, I think. But it would be inconvenient, wouldn't it? Babies are a lot of trouble, and I don't even have my own house yet. How old are you, Barry? 17? Well, you've a year or two yet before you're fertile, unless you're very unlucky. Elves don't have children readily with other elves after that. Even so, you'd be alright if you stick with them. Baronzai remembered something else. Straw wants to buy a farm and marry me. Is that what you want? No, not yet. Maybe someday. Yes, someday. But not if I can't be queen. And not just any queen. The Queen of Mournhold. She said this determinedly, almost stubbornly, as if to drown out any kind of doubt. Katisha chose to ignore this last comment. She was amused by the girl's hyperactive imagination. Took it as a sign of a well-functioning mind. I think Straw will be a very old man before someday comes, Barry. Elves live a very long time. Katisha's face briefly wore the envious, wistful look humans got when contemplating the 1,000-year lifespan of elves that had been granted to them by the gods. True, very few ever actually lived that long as disease and violence took their respective tolls, but they could, and one or two of them actually did. I like old men too, Barry said. Katisha laughed. Baronzai fidgeted impatiently while Theris sorted through the papers on the desk. He was being meticulous and methodical, carefully replacing everything just as he had found it. They'd broken into a nobleman's house, leaving Straw to hover outside as a lookout. Theris had said it was a simple job, but very hush-hush. He hadn't even wanted to bring any other guild members along. He said he knew he could trust Barry and Straw, and yet no one else. Tell me what you're looking for and I'll find it, Barry whispered urgently. Theris, Night Sight wasn't as good as hers, and he didn't want her to magic up even a small orb of light. She had never been in such a luxurious place, not even the dark moor castle that Count Sven and Lady Inga, where she had spent her childhood, compared to it. She gazed around in wonder as they made their way through the ornately decorated and hugely echoing downstairs rooms, but Theris didn't seem interested in anything but the desk with the small book-lined study on the upper floor. "Sst!" he hissed angrily. "Someone's coming," Barry said. A moment before the door opened and two dark figures stepped into the room. Theris gave her a violent shove towards them and sprang to the window. Baronzia's muscles went rigid. She couldn't move or even speak. She watched helplessly as one of the figures, the smaller one, leapt after Theris. There were two quick, silent stabs of blue light, then Theris folded over into a still heap. Outside the study, the house had come alive with hastening footsteps and voices calling out in alarm, and the clank of armor hurriedly being put on. The bigger man, a dark elf by the looks of him, half lifted, half dragged Theris to the door and thrust him into the waiting arms of another elf. A jerk of the first elf's head sent his smaller, blue-robed companion after him. Then he sauntered over to inspect Baronzia, who was once again able to move, although her head throbbed maddeningly when she tried to. "Open your shirt, Baronzia," the elf said. Baronzia gawked at him and clutched it closed. "You're a girl, aren't you, Barry?" he said softly. "You should have stopped dressing as a boy months ago, you know. You're only drawing attention to yourself and calling yourself Barry. Is your friend Straw too stupid to remember anything else?" "It's a common elf name," Baronzia defended. The man shook his head sadly. "Not among dark elves it isn't, my dear. But you wouldn't know much about dark elves, would you? I regret that, but it couldn't be helped. No matter, I shall try to remedy it." "Who are you?" Baronzia demanded. So much for fame." The man shrugged, smiling wryly. "I'm Smarchus, my lady Baronzia. General Smarchus of his awesome and terrible majesty Tiber Septim the First's Imperial Army, and I must say, it's a merry chase you've led me throughout Tamriel, or at least this part of it anyway. Although, I guessed correctly, that you'd head for Morrowind eventually. You had a bit of luck. A body was found in Whiterun that was thought to be Straw's, so we stopped looking for the Perrier. That was rather careless of me, yet I'd not have thought you'd stayed together this long." "Where is he? Is he alright?" she asked in genuine trepidation. "Oh, he's fine, for now. In his study, of course. He turned away. You care for him, then?" he said, and then suddenly stared at her with a fierce curiosity, out of red eyes that seemed strange to her, except in her own seldom-seen reflection. "He's my friend," Baronzia said. The words came out in a tone that sounded dull and hopeless to her own ears. Smarchus, a general in the Imperial Army, no less, was said to have friendship and ears of Tiber Septim himself. "I need some more water." "Very well." "Aye, you seem to have several unsuitable friends, if you'll forgive me saying so, my lady." "Stop calling me that!" She was irritated by the general's seeming sarcasm, but he only smiled. As they talked, the bustle and flurry in the house died away, although she could still hear people, presumably the residents, whispering together not far off. The elf perched himself on a corner of the desk. He seemed quite relaxed and prepared to stay quite a while. Then it occurred to her. Several unsuitable friends had, he said. This man knew all about her, or seemed to know enough, anyway, which amounted to the same thing. What's going to happen to them? To me?
As you know, this house belongs to the commander of the Imperial troops in this area, which means to say that it belongs to me.
Baron Zaya gasped, and Samachis looked up sharply.
What? You didn't know? Why, you are rash, milady, even for 17. You must always know that. If it is, you must always know what it is you do, or you get yourself into. Or what you get yourself into.
but the guild wouldn't have. Baron Zaya was trembling. The Thieves Guild would never have attempted a mission that crossed Imperial policy. No one dared oppose Tiber Septim. At least, no one she knew of. Someone of the guild had bungled, and rather badly, for now she was going to pay for it. I dare say it's unlikely that Theris had approved of this. In fact, I wonder. Samachis examined the desk carefully. Pulling out drawers, he selected one, placed it on top of the desk, and removed the false bottom. That had a folded sheet of parchment inside. It seemed to be a map of some sort. Baron Zaya edged closer. Samachis held it away from her, laughing.
Rash indeed.
He glanced over it and then folded and replaced it. You advised me a moment ago to seek after knowledge.
So I did.
Suddenly he seemed to be in good humor.
We must be going, my dear lady.
He shepherded her out the door, down the stairs, and out into the night air. No one was about. As Baron Zaya's eyes darted towards the shadows, she wondered if she could outrun him, or at least elude him somehow.
You're not thinking of escaping, are you, Don't you want to hear first what my plans for you are?
She thought she sounded a bit hurt. Now that you mention it, yes.
Perhaps you'd rather hear about your friends first, no?
He looked gratified at this. It was evidently the answer he wanted, thought Baron Zaya, but it was also the truth. While she was concerned for her friends, especially Straw, she was far more concerned for herself.
You will take your place as the rightful queen of Mournhold.
Samachis explained that this had been his and Tiber Septim's plan for her all along. That Mournhold, which had been under military rule for the dozen or so years since she had been away, was gradually to be returned to civilian government, under the Empire's guidance, of course, and as part of the Imperial province of Morrowind. But why was I sent to Darkmoor? Baron Zaya asked, hardly believing anything that she'd been told. Give me a minute, my throat's raspy. There we go.
For safekeeping, naturally. Why did you run away?
Baron's eyes shrugged. I saw no reason to stay. I should have been told.
You would have been told by now. I had, in fact, sent for you to be removed from the Imperial City to spend time as part of the Emperor's household. But, of course, you had, shall we say, absconded by then. As for your destiny, it should be, and should have been, quite obvious to you. Tiber Septim does not keep those he has no use for. And what else could you have been that you would have been used to him?
I know nothing of him, nor of that matter of you.
Then know this, Tiber's Septum rewards friends and foes alike according to their deserts.
Baron Zaya chewed on that for a few moments. Straw has deserved well of me, and has never done anyone any harm. He was not a member of the Thieves' Guild. He came along to protect me. He earns our keep by running errands, and he... Samachus waved her impatiently to silence.
I know all about Straw, he said, and about Theris.
He stared at her intently.
So, what would you?
She took a deep breath. Straw wants a little farm. If I'm to be rich, then I would like for one to be given to him.
Very well.
He seemed astonished at this, and then pleased.
Done. She'll have it. And Theris?
He betrayed me, Baron Zaya said coldly. Theris should have told her what the risks of the job entailed. Besides, he pushed her right into their enemy's arms in an attempt to save himself. Not a man to be rewarded. Not, in fact, a man to be trusted.
Yes, and...
Well, he should be made to suffer for it. Shouldn't he?
That seems reasonable. What form should said suffering take?
Baron Zaya balled her hands into a fist. She would have liked to beat and claw at the Khajiit herself, but considering the turn of events had taken, that didn't quite seem very queenly. A whipping. Would 20 stripes be too many, don't you think? I don't want to do him any permanent injury. You understand? Just teach him a lesson.
Aye, of course.
Samachus grinned at this. Then his features set suddenly, and became serious.
It shall be done, your highness. My lady Queen Baronzaya of Mournhold.
Then he bowed to her, a sweeping, courtly, ridiculously wonderful bow. Baronzaya's heart leapt. She spent 2 days at Samach's apartment, during which she was kept very busy. There was a dark elven woman named Drillane, who saw to her needs, although did not exactly seem to serve, since she took her meals with them. Nor did she seem to be Samach's wife or lover. Drillane looked amused when Baronzaya asked about it. She simply said she was in the general's employ, and did what was ever asked of her. With Draylene's assistance, several fine gowns and pairs of shoes were ordered for her, plus a riding habit and boots, along with other small necklaces. Baronzaya was given a room to herself. Samachus was out a great deal. She saw him at most meal times, but he said very little of himself or what he had been doing. He was cordial and rather polite, was quite willing to converse on most subjects, and seemed interested in anything she had to say. Drillane was much the same. Baronzaya found them pleased enough, but hard to get to know, as Katisha would have put it. She felt an odd twinge of disappointment. These were the first dark elves whom she'd associated closely. She had expected to feel comfortable with them, to feel at least that she was somewhere where she belonged. With somebody that she belonged somewhere, with somebody as part of something. Instead, she found herself yearning for Nordic friends, her Nordic friends, Katisha and Straw. When Samachus told her they were to set out for the Imperial City on the morrow, she asked if she could say goodbye to them.
Katisha, he asked. Aye, but then, I suppose I owe her something. She said it was who led...
Okay, I'm not gonna read this in a voice. She said it was who... let's go back to the voice.
She said it was who led me to you by telling me of a lonely dark elven girl named Barry who needed elven friends, and who sometimes dressed as a boy. She has no association with the Thieves Guild, apparently, and no one associated with the Thieves Guild seems to know your true identity, save Theris. That as well, I prefer that your former guild membership not be made public knowledge. Please speak of it to no one, your highness. Such a past does not become an imperial queen.
No one knows but Straw and Theris, and they won't tell anyone.
No,
he smiled a curious little smile.
No, I won't.
He didn't know that Katisha knew. Then, but still, there was something to say. There was something about the way he said it. Straw came to their apartment in the morning of their departure. They were left alone in the salon, although Baranzaya knew that other elves were within earshot. He looked drawn and pale. They hugged one another silently for a few minutes. Straw's shoulders were shaking and tears were rolling down his cheeks, but he had said nothing. Baranzaya tried to smile. So, we both get what we want, eh? I'm the Queen of Morrowind, and you'll be lord of your own farmstead. She took his hand, smiled at him warmly and genuinely. All right, you Straw, I promise. You must find a fine scribe so you can write me too. Straw shook his head sadly, and then when Baranzaya persisted, he opened his mouth and pointed at it, making inarticulate noises. Then she realized what it was. His tongue was gone, for it had been cut off. Baranzaya collapsed into a chair and wept noisily. But why? She demanded of Samachus when Straw had been ushered away. Why? Samachus shrugged.
The boy knows too much. He could have been dangerous. At least he's alive. And he wouldn't need his tongue to raise pigs or whatever. I hate you!
Baranzaya screamed at him. Then abruptly doubled over and proceeded to vomit on the floor. She continued to revile him between intermediate bouts of nausea. He listened solidly for some time while Drelane cleaned up after her. Finally, he told her to cease, or he would gag her for the journey to the Emperor. They stopped at Katisha's house on their way out of the city. Samachus and Drelane didn't dismount. All seemed normal, but Baranzaya was frightened as she knocked on the door. Katisha answered the knock. Baranzaya thanked the gods slightly that at least she was all right. But she'd also obviously been weeping. In any case, she embraced Baranzaya warmly. Why are you crying? Baranzaya asked. For Theris, of course. Haven't you heard? Oh dear, poor Theris. He's dead. Baranzaya felt icy fingers creeping around her heart. He was caught stealing from the commandant's house. Poor fool. But that was so foolish of him. Oh, Barry, he was drawn and quartered this very dawn by the commandant's order. She started to sob. I went. He asked for me. It was terrible. He suffered so before he died. I'll never forget it. He looked for you and Straw, but no one knew where you'd both gone to. She glanced behind Baranzaya. That's the Commandant, isn't it? Smachus? Then Katisha did a strange thing. She stopped crying and grinned. You know, the moment I saw him, I thought, this is the one for Baranzaya. Katisha took a fold of her apron and wiped it across her eyes. I told him about you, you know. Yes, Baranzaya said. I know. She took Katisha's hands in each of hers, and looked at her earnestly. Katisha, I love you. I'm going to miss you, but please don't ever tell anyone else about me ever. Swear you won't, especially not to Samachis. And look after Straw for me. Promise me that. Katisha promised, puzzled though willingly. Barry, it wasn't somehow because of me that Theris was caught, was it? I never thought anything about Theris to him. She glanced over at the general. Bernzaya assured her that it wasn't. That an informant had told the Imperial Guard of Theris' plans, which was probably a lie. But she could see that Katisha's planning plainly needed some kind of comfort. Oh, I'm glad of that. If I can be glad of anything just now, I'd hate to think, but how could I have known? She leaned over and whispered in Bernzaya's ear, Samachis is very handsome, don't you think? And so charming. I wouldn't know about that, Bernzaya said dryly. I haven't really thought about it. There have been other things to think about. She explained hurriedly about being the Queen of Morrowind and going to live in the Imperial City for a while. He was looking for me, that's all, on orders from the Emperor. I was the object of a quest, nothing more than some sort of a goal. I don't think he thinks of me as a woman at all. He said I didn't look like a boy, though, she added in the face of Katisha's incredulity. I don't know that word. Katisha knew that Bernzaya evaluated every male she met in terms of sexual desirability and availability. I suppose it's a shock to find out that I'm really a queen, she added. Katisha agreed that, yes, that's true. That must have been something of a shock. Although there was no likelihood of her experiencing firsthand, she smiled. Bernzaya smiled with her. Then they hugged again, tearfully, for the last time, for she never saw Katisha again, or for that matter, Straw. The royal party left Riften by the Great Southern Gate. Once through, Samachis tapped her shoulder and pointed back at the portals. I thought you might want to say your goodbye to Theris too, Your Highness, he said. Bernzaya stared briefly but steadily at the head impaled on the spike above the gate. The birds had been at it, but the face was still recognizable. I don't think he'll hear me, although I'm quite sure he'll be pleased to know I'm fine, she said, seemingly to sound light. Let's be on our way, General, shall we? Samachis was clearly disappointed by her lack of reaction. Aye, you heard of this from your friend Katisha, I suppose? You supposed correctly. She attended the execution, Bernzaya said cautiously. Casually. If he didn't know it already, he'd find out soon enough. She was sure of that. Did she know Theris belonged to the guild? She shrugged. Everyone knew that. It's only lower-ranking members like me who are supposed to keep their membership secret. The ones higher up are well known. She turned to smile archly at him. But you must know all about that, shouldn't you, General? She said sweetly. He seemed unaffected by this. So you told her that you were who you were and whence you came, but not about the guild. The guild membership was my secret to tell. The other was... There's a difference. Besides, Katisha is a very honest woman. I had told her it would have lessened me in her eyes. She was always after Theris to take up a more honest line of work. I valued her good opinion, for she afforded him She afforded him a glacial stare. Not that it's any concern of yours. But you do know what she thought. She thought I'd be happier if I settled down with just one man. One of my own race. One of my own race with all the right qualifications. One of my own race with all the right qualities. Who knows to say all the right things. You, in fact. She grabbed the reins preparatorily and assuming a brisker pace, but not without sinking one final irresistible barb. It isn't odd how wishes come true sometimes, but not in the way you want them to. Or maybe, I should say, not in the way you would ever want them to. His answer so took her by surprise that she quite forgot about cantering off.
Yes, very odd,
he replied, and his tone matched his words exactly. Then he excused himself and fell behind. She held her head high and urged her mount onwards, trying to look unimpressed, now that it was about his response that bothered her. Not what he said, no, that wasn't it, but something about the way he said it. Something about it made her think that she, Baranzaya, was one of his wishes that had came true. Unlikely as this seemed, she gave it due deliberation. He had found her at last, after months of searching it seemed, under pressure from the Emperor, no doubt. So his wish had come true. Yes, that must be it. In a way, apparently, not altogether to his liking.
Holy shit, that's another long book.
True. And the history of Baranzaya, very not at all like the tale of the real Baranzaya.
True enough. She turned out to be a right cad in these real Baranzaya books.
True, and thank you for giving voice to so much as in the more male characters.
You're welcome, but I honestly think I'll need some sleep. So, without further ado, this is your fellow book hunter, signing off.
Yes, and this is Smabb, signing off. And remember, continue to have your best day and your best week. We're out. Cut!